Ladies and gentlemen, friends, thank you for gathering here today. I come to you not with light-hearted tales or pleasant memories, but with stories that send a chill down the spine. Stories of deliveries gone terribly wrong, nightmares dressed as everyday transactions. I want you to lean in, not just to listen but to feel. Because ignoring what seems small can lead to consequences that are anything but small. I want to share 5 delivery horror stories that you should never, ever ignore, for sometimes life's worst monsters hide in the most ordinary packages. The first story begins with Emma, a young mother who had been waiting anxiously for something she thought would bring comfort, a box of baby supplies ordered days before her child's due date. It was mostly diapers, some creams, soft blankets. She imagined the smell of fresh cotton, the quiet rustle of wrapping paper, a promise that at least one thing would be perfect in these exhausting, overwhelming hours. When it arrived, she carried it into the house, set it gently on the carpet. But what she found inside was something else, something wrong. The diapers were used, already soft and stained, with the unmistakable odor of dampness and neglect. The creams had been tampered, lids cracked, substances leaking out. The blankets, supposed to be soft and safe, were threadbare, harboring holes, the stitching undone. Emma felt her stomach twist. She called customer service, demanded a refund, but the damage was already done. Not just to her sanity, but she feared to the delicate skin of her newborn. It was horrifying that something meant to protect turned into a threat, that something she trusted could poison her peace. She never ignored the signs. She kept the packaging, she took photos, she escalated the complaint, which got her a refund, but still no apology could wipe out the broken trust, the sense that in that moment, the world had let her down. The second story is about Raj, a small business owner. He had ordered a batch of what he thought was top-tier equipment, metal cutting tools from an overseas supplier to expand his workshop. The delivery arrived late at night, and he was excited to begin using them the next morning. As he unboxed, his excitement turned to horror. Some tools were cracked, others had rust creeping under the coating. One of them was dangerously bent, unusable and sharp in ways it was never meant to be. Raj, exhausted from long hours, ignored the unease, the sinking feeling that these tools might break catastrophically. But he began using them anyway, desperate, hoping things would hold. One day, the bent tools snapped under pressure, sending a shard of metal into his hand. He bled, he felt agony, he tasted fear. In the hospital, the doctors stitched him up, the cost was steep, the recovery painful. Raj realized he should never have ignored the warning in the way the tools looked, should never have used equipment that didn't feel right. He lost money, but more than money. He lost confidence, he lost security. What was supposed to build up his business nearly destroyed him. Every scar in his hand reminds him of the day he almost lost everything for ignoring a delivery's hidden danger. The third story is about Olivia, a student far from home, counting every cent, finding online deals where she could. She snagged a deal for a second-hand laptop, cheap, acceptable for her studies. Everyone warned her, read the seller reviews, check pictures, ask questions. She did, to some extent, but not enough. The laptop arrived in a battered box, sloppily taped. Inside, she found marks, scratches, dents, but thought maybe they were superficial. She booted it up, and that's when she realized it was worse. The battery was swollen, the screen flickered, and the charger port sparking. It smelled of burnt electronics. She thought she could live with it, just get a new charger, find ways around the flicker. Then one night she plugged it in, fell asleep, and woke up to the smell of burning plastic. The laptop had caught fire. Flames had nicked the carpet, singed the curtains. She leapt up, heart hammering, terrified she could burn alive. Eventually, she managed to smother the flame, call her neighbors, the fire department footing rumors and horror in the night. The insurance didn't cover everything. She lost papers, some artwork, her research, things no money could bring back. If she had ignored the red flags, the smell, the flicker, the swollen battery, instead of trying to make it work, she placed herself in danger. It teaches that cheap deals or partial assurances are no comfort when safety is at stake. The fourth story is far darker, one that creeps in quietly until everything is too late. Marcus, a single dad, worked late hours. One evening, he was expecting a delivery, groceries, dinner, things for his young daughter. It was dusk when the delivery man knocked. He handed over bags blacked with grease, paper torn, items leaking. Marcus smelled something strange, like chemicals too sharp for food. He peeled back a leaking container, dinner soup maybe, only to see that grease and thick oily residue contaminated everything in that bag. Vegetables soaked in unidentifiable liquids, chicken that carried an odd smell. He froze. He considered throwing it away, but figured he could wash it off, cook it thoroughly. His daughter, hungry, ate a piece. Within hours, a fever struck. She convulsed with what turned out to be food poisoning. Panic in his eyes, terror in her small cries. Marcus rushed her to the hospital, nights blurred into hours under fluorescent lights, doctors working while he prayed. She recovered, but the trauma left both of them trembling. Fear of meals, fear of the world. Marcus realized that the minute he saw leaking packaging, that odd smell, that violation of basic hygiene, he should have rejected it, should have sent it back. Because ignorance is not bliss. Sometimes it's surrendering to risk. The fifth story is one that scratches at the soul, the kind that makes you question humanity. Zara lived in a neighborhood that was growing fast. Deliveries had become routine, groceries, parcels, medicines. One day, she ordered medication, something simple, painkillers for a flare-up she couldn't ignore anymore. She was relieved when the package arrived early. But opening it, she saw pills that were off-color, different markings, packaging that looked like someone had peeled it off another box and slapped a label. Uncertainty pricked her chest. She thought maybe the pharmacy had substituted, perhaps a manufacturing hiccup. She swallowed one pill, hoping for relief. Instead, she felt dizzy, her stomach turned, heart racing. She collapsed, nausea ripping through her. She almost couldn't breathe. She called for help. Tests revealed the medicine was counterfeit, filled with fillers and unknown substances that reacted badly with her allergies. She was lucky she survived. But in those moments, passing out of her kitchen, strapped to a hospital bed, she felt betrayed by a system she thought would protect her. The package, the label, the seal, they all seemed so real until everything fell apart inside of her body. That night, in the stillness, recovering, she realized she should have inspected the packaging better, questioned the source, trusted not just the exterior, but the promises behind it. Friends, these stories are more than melodrama. They are warnings. Warnings that delivery horror doesn't always announce itself with screams or sirens. Often it creeps in disguised as convenience, as savings, as relief. We've all felt that tug, when a coupon code makes us click faster, when free shipping makes us hush our doubts, when convenience convinces us to accept what we'd normally reject. But in those moments, the shadows gather. In those moments, the small signs that something's off are not to be whispered away. They are alarms, sirens, the skeleton keys to a disaster, if ignored. I ask you now, whenever you receive something, anything, look at the packaging. Take in the smell. Run your eyes over the exterior before you pull back the tape. Does it smell clean or pungently wrong? Did the seal look original or hastily resealed? Does anything leak? Is anything damp, stained with something unknown? Open it under light you can see and not under the flicker of mood lamps, but where every defect shows. Test gently. Smell carefully. Listen when your gut rings its warning bell. Because every one of those five, Emma, Raj, Olivia, Marcus, Zara, they all had hints. The used diapers, the cracked tools, the burnt smell, the leaking bag, the fake pills. All those distress signals were ignored, rationalized away, displaced by hope or convenience. I want this to resonate, not just as stories, but as a call to vigilance. We live in a world where commerce has transformed into streams of packages delivered to our doors. It's a blessing, yes, but that blessing comes with responsibility. Our responsibility to look before we accept, to refuse what we believe unsafe, to demand what we paid, good quality, safety, honesty, and to speak up for ourselves for those who cannot. To write that angry message, to report that shady seller, to throw out that item even if it means losing money, for nothing worth having is worth your health or your dignity. And I want you to feel fear, not to paralyze, but to protect. Because fear, harnessed, sharpens senses, wakes us up. Fear that a delivery could kill, could maim, could betray trust. Let that fear be the ember that lights your caution. When your child's health is at stake, when your business depends on tools, when your safety is in the integrity of wires or medicines, when a product comes with even a whisper of something wrong, do not ignore it. Do not pretend it's probably fine. Do not accept the brush of compromise. Demand better. Insist on honesty. Expect integrity. Remember this, trauma doesn't have to come from tragedy if we act early. If Emma had rejected the used diapers, Raj had returned the bent tools, Olivia had refused the laptop that smelled of fire, Marcus had said no to food leaking in Greece, Zara had insisted on properly sealed medicine, they might have spared themselves betrayal and danger. They might have saved themselves nights of fear, hospital rooms, broken trust. But sometimes the greatest horrors are the ones we allow by doing nothing. So I invite you, every time you press order, every time you hear the knock at the door, every time you accept the parcel, look. Inspect.
Question. Speak.
Don't let convenience silence your instincts. Don't let the price tag, the sale, the free shipping, the promise of fast delivery blind you to the possible danger inside. Every package carries not just goods, but the possibility of harm when corners are cut. And that possibility is not to be ignored. May every alarm you feel be heeded, every doubt given power, every warning acted upon. For in those moments lie the difference between horror and safety, between regret and relief, between the life you want to protect and the nightmare you never needed to know. Statement.